Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining in to Get Real TV, the Verandah session, the TV show that's all about you, the business owner. My name's Rebecca Doyle and I'm your host for today. And my guest today is someone that was going to be speaking about social media on the ground as a business owner with how she's produced real results. Also, after speaking with her, I also noticed she has an incredible wealth of information about leadership, so we're going to be touching on that as well. Her name is Tsang. Welcome.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you on our show today.
Thanks for having me.
Great, thank you for being here. So I was thinking about our conversation that we had the other day with regards to what you've been doing with Queensland Business and on social media. But before we go into that, what I would like to find out is what is tea note speaking and being a tea expert and being the number one in Australia about? Because I'm a self-confessed, I don't drink tea or coffee. I know. I know. So when I heard about what you do, it fascinated me. So can you please tell me a little bit about your business?
Sure. So my name is May King and my business name is Making Tea. And as you said, I'm a tea note speaker. I'm Australia's only certified tea specialist and one of the top 50 recommended speakers of tea in the world by the Specialty Tea Institute. And I really want to raise awareness about good quality tea. So from what I understand in Australia, coffee 15 years ago was about a particular brand, instant coffee, but look at where we are now. We've got so many different types, and I want to do the same thing with tea. So I want to bring the teapot back. I want to encourage people to really take time with tea and really see what's in their teapot and reuse the leaves and get all the health benefits out of the tea and ditch the tea bags if we can. That's what I'm really passionate about. So my tea note speaking is really to raise awareness about the different types of teas out there, the health benefits, the history of tea, the difference between tea and herbal infusions, that kind of thing.
Yeah, great. Because right then when you were just speaking, I was thinking, well, what is the difference between tea and herbal infusions? I wouldn't know. Anyway, we can maybe do another session on that as well. Excellent. Okay, very good. So you came to Australia back in 2010.
That's right.
So that's just on 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't know a soul.
That's right, yeah.
And you thought you wanted to get your business up and running.
Absolutely.
And you've said that social media was the perfect platform.
Absolutely.
So can you tell me more about that? How did you do it? Like you didn't know anyone.
Yeah. So of course, coming over to Brisbane, searched online and I looked for a few networking groups and found a few networking groups, and then I thought, well, I've got to do more than face-to-face, because I'd already used Twitter for my business in the UK. So I was trying to connect with people on Twitter, but then when I was talking to people on the ground in networking circles, I came to realise a lot of people using Facebook. So I thought, oh right, well I better learn about this Facebook lark. I had a personal account, but I didn't really use it that much, and went on a Facebook course, learned about Facebook groups, and then I thought I'll create a group to try and connect with other business owners.
Gotcha.
And so
what's the name of that group again?
Queensland Business.
Queensland Business, great.
So I created that in November 2010, and it really was to connect with other business owners, to provide a forum to ask questions really and help other business owners. There must be ways in which I can help people, there must be ways.
And what was the name of that Facebook group?
Queensland Business.
Right.
Yeah, so when I was networking here, naturally you connect with people and you talk to people and you ask what their business is and how they're doing, and everything was just fabulous, fantastic. And you can probably hear from my accent, I'm not from around these parts, I'm a BBC, British born Chinese, so naturally being British, I'm a bit of a cynic. And being in small business, not everything is perfect, not everything is fabulous and so on. Definitely. And so I couldn't really get through to people. I really wanted to try and help people and hope that they could help me, but everything was fabulous when I asked people. So when I created Queensland Business, I really wanted to connect with people and really ask how I could help them, how they could help others, and provide a forum so that we can share information, because being in small business is really, really lonely at times.
Yeah.
and you just want to ask that one question. And in networking circles, you may not be permitted to do that because you're too busy trying to build business and ask of other people and so on. So that's why I created Queensland Business, so that we can have a forum that we can ask each other questions. And chances are, I used to be in IT training before I did making tea.
Right.
And chances are, when I delivered training in a classroom, if one person asked that question, there was someone else who actually asked the question, wanted to know the answer to the question, but too afraid to ask.
Absolutely.
So by providing that forum, it meant that we as small business owners can help each other, and we can also collaborate, we can create joint ventures, or just ask that one question that's really niggling us, and also be part of a community as well. As I say, being in small business can be a little bit of a lonely place at times, so having a forum where we can work or maybe connect with like-minded business owners was really important to me, so that's why I created it.
Excellent. And I've asked questions on Queensland Business, and the thing that I love about it is it saves me time and money.
Yes, absolutely.
If I get an answer straight away, so I don't have to research it, and I don't have to go pay someone extortionate fees to find out the answer or to do it for me.
Yeah, and you know, there was one business owner I remember several months ago. She was mortified, and you can almost hear her plea on the post, and she said, I need to go and speak to my accountant, I think it was, but he charges $500 an hour. Can anybody help? And it was just awful. And so lots of people made recommendations on the, you know, you can speak to this accountant, their first hour is free, or you can speak to, my accountant's fabulous, la la la. And then right at the end she said, thank you so much, I really appreciate that. And that really gave me the warm and fuzzies, that we could really help, you know, that we could have this place that we can help and ask questions, and everyone else will jump in. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. Last night I had a look on Queensland Business, and you're currently at 1,917 members. So you're nearly at the 2,000 mark, and that's over 2 years. And from someone who didn't know anyone, that's quite phenomenal. So what did you do to have so many members join over that time?
I think it's other people spreading the word.
Right.
I think that because it's such a different group from other groups, because people can ask questions, people can share their knowledge, people can ask for referrals and so on, what I've found is that people are really enthused about it. And so because, as I say, being in small business, it's a bit of a lonely place, and now you've got a community where you can really help each other. So I think it's actually the power of word of mouth, or in social media terms, word of mouth. And so people have actually tried to, have actually mentioned Queensland Business, and so they said, oh, you must join this group, it's a great group, and so on.
Gotcha. Okay, great. So rewind for me. Rewind for me. November 2010, you've set up this group. How did you get your first couple of members?
Gosh.
I'm thinking of setting up a group, and I think if anyone's listening, it's like, I want to set up a group, but how do I do that?
Do you know,
apart from having mum and dad on it.
Yeah, from the Facebook course that I went to, there were a lot of networking, a lot of business owners there. Gosh, you really put me on the spot, I don't remember. I think, connecting with business owners back then, I think I may have invited a few people in, perhaps, I think.
So maybe just inviting 1, 2, 3 people, and then they invite people, and then...
Exactly. And now, I mean, I don't look at inviting people. People actually ask to become members there now. You know, we've had to boot a few people out because they're not from Queensland as well. You know, from the UK, from the US, New South Wales. So it's quite a specific core group.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now the other thing I know about your group is that there is not only members of your group, but there's actually like a following of making. And the reason I would say that is that I'll go onto the group and I'll see this banner saying Making Day and all this stuff about making, and really looking at, I can really see how it's looking at you as a leader. So it's not just about being a member of a group, you've really taken it, from what I can see, to actually leading people. Inside of leadership, and having people come on come on board to the group, but they really esteem you. So, given that you know you're like a leader of this group, how is that? Did you set out to do that, or how has that evolved?
Well, thank you so much for saying that. It's again, it's very.
Well, you were like famous. I was so excited that you decided to come on my show. Crikey.
Yes, I did set out to do that. Going back to what we said earlier about how I felt that when we were in networking circles, all of our businesses were doing fine, fantastic, blah, blah, blah. And I realised that, well, I know my business is not doing absolutely brilliant. You know, there's certain things that I can certainly improve on. And so, so I wanted the group to go in a particular direction. So I wanted to ask questions. I wanted people to ask questions. I wanted specialists in the group to go and answer those questions. So I spent a lot of time in making sure that if there was a question that was asked and it wasn't addressed within 24 hours, I would actually ask the question again on that person's behalf, because then it will enable the post to appear back up at the top again.
Very good.
I believe that I'm a good networker. That's what I've been told. So again, using the skills that I have, I was able to bring a couple of people together, or 2-3 people together. So again, looking at the posts that were there, I would, you know, make recommendations and tag people in. Oh, this person, you must go and talk to that person, and so on. I also, at the beginning, tried to learn about each and every person's business.
Right.
And so if someone had asked a question, then I knew, you know, if it was a blogging question, then I knew that there are several bloggers that I would connect with immediately. If it was a question about communication, I know exactly who I would talk to. If it was a web designer, there are several web designers in the group that I knew that I would tag in, and it'll help that, you know, and by tagging people in Facebook, of course, it means that, you know, people will more likely to look at the post, but it also shows the specialists in that particular group. So the ones who are most vocal in the group are probably the ones that are doing most business. But you know, it's good because it means that their credibility is raised.
Yes.
Because not just myself, but other people are tagging other people in the group. But it also means that anybody can showcase their business in a particular manner. One thing that I was very adamant on, and I'm very proud of this, is that I did not allow any selling, any spamming at all about our business during the week, and I was very adamant about that. The reason being is because we do all the selling in networking circles, on our websites, in our blogs and what have you. This forum is to help our business, not to help our business make money. You've got everywhere else to do that. It's just to help us with our vulnerabilities, I suppose. You know, where we've got a few questions that we need to ask and so on. So I was very adamant about that. And I got bullied a lot. Right. Got a lot of abuse.
Wow, really?
Yeah, online and face to face. I thought you were supposed to be helping a small business. Why can't we promote our events and our business on your group? And you know, my initial thoughts were, well, you know, we're small business owners, we don't need to sell to each other. There's a big wide world out there that we can sell to, you know. So let's just keep this forum as a place for learning, growth.
So you didn't succumb to the bullying?
No.
Very good. Excellent. You stood for something. I like it. I like it.
So yes, so I've answered your question in a very lengthy way, but yes, leadership was definitely what I intended to do. Yeah.
So I also know that inside of your leadership in this group that there wasn't a great deal of money to be made. So this purely was coming from a place of genuinely wanting to help people and for you to connect with people.
Absolutely.
Now, I believe that potentially recently that's come round to look after you. So can you tell us a little bit about how your groups looked after you inside of you looking after them?
Sure. So unfortunately, my personal circumstances have changed, and so I'm looking to get some money for put some money together for a visa, and so I want to stay in this beautiful country, and immigration are about to kick me out. So I had to make a plea. Well, I thought that I would make a plea to Queensland Business, for anyone, any of the 1,900 members in the group, if they found any use for the group, if they have made connections in the group, if they've made business in the group, if they've received an answer from Queensland Business, then I made a plea to have them show a bit of gratitude.
Yeah.
Because I needed $3,300 for a visa that I wanted to apply for.
Wow, that would have taken a lot of vulnerability and courage.
Yes, I've never asked for help before. I've always been the go-to person for people who are wanting help. That's what I've done all my life, pretty much. So when a friend of mine said, "Look, you need help. You've got to ask for help." They made a suggestion to me. They wrote an email and said, "Why don't you create a crowdfunding page, and why don't you make a plea to people?" So I did, and I felt comfortable with it in the fact that it's not me asking for charity, please give me money. It was more a case of, well, I've worked in Queensland Business for 2 years. I've helped provide this forum. It's growing. People are excited about it. People have enjoyed the group. They found a lot of use for the group. So if you wanted to show a bit of gratitude, then I'd appreciate it too, because I need a little bit of money, kind of a thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And money's one of those funny subjects, isn't it? People just get weird about money. They really do. So I completely appreciate it. And what was the result that you...
Well, we managed to raise $3,300 in 24 hours.
Pardon? How much?
$3,300 in 24 hours.
Wow. Now that is such a demonstration of who you are in that community. And it's just a breath of fresh air to have someone, a leader, who does show that type of vulnerability and allow their members and, for want of a better word, followers, to contribute back to you.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to, that's true leadership, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a leadership expert, people, but you read the books, it says it, I promise. So that's really, I really applaud you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, when I was thinking back at it, and I thought, well, maybe there might be a few people who might show a bit of gratitude, but to raise that amount of money in such a short time was phenomenal. And what was lovely actually was that I had a lot of emails, I had a lot of Facebook posts, a lot of Twitter direct messages, lots of phone calls, people asking me how I was and how I am and how I'm coping, is there any way that you could help? I've contributed, but is there anything more I could do for you? And it was lovely, lovely, yeah.
Real demonstration of how paying it forward, and it'll look after you, it'll come back and look after you.
Absolutely. I mean, with my tea business mentoring, I always encourage people to read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and it's one of my favourite books because paying it forward is one of the messages, but also, if people like you, then they will buy from you in time. So because I didn't know anybody here in Queensland, I thought, well, if I can just get my name out there, get my name established, and then maybe in time people will buy tea from me or my tea note speaking services. So that was that was also another premise of Queensland Business, just to get my name out there, really. So that was really, really important for me.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's take it back to your business and social media. So your business is, as you said, you're the number one tea note speaker in Australia, and you work with other people all around the world.
Yes.
And I believe number 50 tea note speaker in the world.
Yes.
And here in Australia, we've got you as number one. And you're a tea business mentor and so forth. So, what business opportunities have arisen out of you using social media?
Well, when I first got here, you know, like any business owner, you get passionate about something, and I made a few mistakes. So, you know,
Really? You made a mistake? Oh my goodness! I'll have to edit that. You can't have it that people make mistakes in business. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay.
I was very passionate about tea. I'm still passionate about tea. But I was telling everybody, I do Gong Fu Chinese tea ceremony. That's what I do. And you get to taste tea, and you get 2 hours where we get to relax and you know, learn about tea, we get to taste tea, and this is how much it is. And a lot of people are like, what? Gong Fu, what? I thought that was like a martial art or something.
That is actually what went through my head.
Well, Gong Fu actually is a Chinese term that means the art and skill of doing something well. So
Right.
Gong Fu or Kung Fu. So it can be with regards to martial arts, tea or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, so that's what I did. At the beginning, I was telling people I do Gong Fu, and people are like, yeah. And I also mentioned that it was a tea tasting. And of course, you know, being in Australia, we have a fabulous wine producing country, so wine tasting or cheese tastings tend to be free, whereas my tea tastings are not free. So that was the first mistake I made. I was too passionate about something that was just so way out there, it didn't get anywhere. So I had to change my tacks a little bit, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to slowly introduce tea to people.
Yes.
And I love working with people anyway. I love to collaborate, and so that was something that I tried to push in social media. What I did was I looked for people to follow on Twitter.
Right.
But just like in How to Win Friends and Influence People, it wasn't about, you know, waving my virtual business card in the air and say, hey, I'd love to do business with you. It's just about chatting. So social media, the clue's in the title, you become social. You just have a chat, and that's all I did on Twitter. I just chin-wagged.
And how did you decide who to follow on Twitter?
So initially what I did was I put in the hashtag Brisbane just to look through what people were talking about with regards to Brisbane. So some people were saying, I love Brisbane, some people were saying, Brisbane's great, and then there were some people who were saying, you know, business related stuff. So it did take me a while, but I did look through certain people to see what they were talking about, and then I followed them.
Right.
And then I specifically wanted to follow the food industry, food and hospitality, because I thought that, you know, good people who appreciate good wine, appreciate good cheeses, good beer, would also appreciate tea, I hope.
Gotcha.
So I followed a lot of foodies, so food bloggers, food specialists, chefs, you know, restaurant owners, that kind of thing. But I didn't sell to them, I just had a chin wag with them.
Yeah, right.
Coffee shops as well. I also connected with coffee shops, and you know, because on Twitter your biography is up there already, if they really wanted to know who you are and what you do, they can go and have a look.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just did that. I started talking, and then eventually when I felt comfortable, then I'll say, hey, would you like to have a cup of tea? And we'll have a meeting, and that's how it came out. So, you know, having a cup of tea with a business owner, we figured out ways in which we can work together, and that's basically how it worked out. So, with social media, it doesn't replace face-to-face networking. It should be used in conjunction with Facebook.
Me personally, there's a bit of a barrier with using social media for its proper use, as you were just describing. So I like something to happen pretty quickly, like now. And so I have a bit of a barrier of getting on and chatting with people and I want to know when the result's going to happen or when I'm actually going to meet someone. So can you tell me a little bit about the time frame that from when you started, you know, following people to then the business results that then you started to see from being involved in social media?
Well, it's one of those how long is a piece of string questions. So, you know, for some of my successes, it was weeks. Some of them, it was a couple of months. Some of them were 6 months. There's one particular client actually, they went with another tea company, they went with another tea company, and then they came back to me eventually.
Right.
Third time lucky.
Gotcha.
So that took nearly 18 months. But it really, really depends. As I say, it could be weeks, could be months.
Okay.
But the thing is that, you know, when you go to a networking circle, a networking event, do you thrust your business card to somebody and try and sell them your business?
No, I've learned the hard way not to do that. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you're doing exactly the same thing on social media.
Yeah.
On social media, people are tempted to wave their virtual business card and say, hey, look at me, look at my tea, look at my products. I've got a discount, look at me!
Yeah.
Without developing those relationships. I did that. When I first started Twitter, I did exactly the same. I made those mistakes too.
Yeah.
So if you imagine that social media is just like networking face to face, but it just happens to be online. So we've got double the throughput. We can network for even more now than ever before. But it is effectively the same. So if you would not go in the middle of a networking circle and stand on a chair and say, hey, look at me, I'm making tea. If you wouldn't do that, then don't do that on social media.
Yeah.
It's about being social. And when you have a conversation, just like when you're having a conversation in a party, the right opportunity will come, and you just need to wait for that opportunity or create that opportunity. So I mean, one of the biggest thrills that I had this year was that I was able to speak at ECHA about tea. I was so thrilled about that, and that came through Twitter.
Right, okay.
And that came through a lady who is a chef, and she is a personal chef and she cooks. We were chit-chatting away. She was telling me about Sunnybank, and I said, what's Sunnybank? And she said, it's the real Chinatown. I went, oh, I would love to go there one day. And then we made a date of it. So that took a few weeks maybe. And then I was invited to go to one of her events and talk about for about 5 minutes on tea. One lady happened to be there, and she made the recommendation for ECHA.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So again, it's going back to social media. It has to be a combination of face-to-face as well as being online as well. So.
Right, okay, gotcha. All right, so tell me more about the results that you've had. Being someone who's a little bit result-orientated, I must admit. So I understand the process, and if I can see that there's a result at the end, that gives me confidence in the process. So can you tell me a little bit more about what results you've produced?
Well, as I said, I mentioned that I spoke at ECHA. I've spoken with other food specialists in that arena, and some of them have tried to get into ECHA for 4 or 5 years. And I got in there without even trying it. It was a recommendation.
Right.
So that was pretty amazing.
That is amazing. That's cutting through the stuff.
Yeah.
Make it extreme. Yeah, gotcha.
And Regional Flavours is a 2-day event in the South Bank, and it's about showcasing Queensland produce. That came through Twitter. It's pretty amazing. I think my biggest success story is having a 2-page interview in the Courier Mail, and that was also a recommendation from someone who I follow and talk to on Twitter. Right. That was pretty amazing. I've been in the Courier Mail, I've been in the Sunday Mail, I've been in Style magazine as well.
Right.
Globally,
I told you she was famous.
Globally, I've had some success as well, and that's been through a combination of Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn.
Right.
So we mentioned earlier that I'm a tea business mentor, so I help people who are thinking of starting a tea business and they don't really know where to start. So it could be a bricks and mortar tea room, or an online tea store, or they're running a market stall, or something else, a tea consultant perhaps. And so I started chatting with a lady who just started her business in tea out in Baltimore. Right. And she asked a question, and so I responded to her tweet, and I said, I can help you with that. And she said, really? And I said, yeah, that's what I do. And so she became one of my clients. On Facebook, because of the work that I did with other tea groups within Facebook, this lady put a plea out for contributors to her tea blog, and so I answered the call, and she said, well, actually, you were the first person that I would have come to, but I thought you'd be too busy. So I responded, well, if you want something done, ask a busy person. That's one of my business mentors said that to me once, yes. And I've really embraced that. So so that's a US blog,
right.
And so I contribute to 3 different tea blogs now as well as my own.
Right.
So so that came through Facebook.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, they are very real results, so that's great.
Absolutely.
That gives me very good confidence in spending my time on social media. So like I've told you about how I've got a little bit of a block about it. What would you say to someone like me to be able to, get me started?
Yeah, one of the things that people worry about is the amount of time that people need to spend on social media. And one of the things that I would say is if you can text, you can tweet. If you can text, you can put a Facebook post up there. If you can text, you can put something up on LinkedIn. It's really that easy.
I think I do text quite a lot, actually, and I managed to find time to do that.
Yeah.
Very good, I like it. I like it a lot. All right, so yeah, if I can text, which I definitely can, and I definitely do, and I do it quite a lot, I can tweet or I can post. That's a really great perspective to have on it. Thank you, really appreciate it, because that makes it feasible for me in my life and just shifts my perspective. Same thing, but my perspective. Okay, very good, excellent. So I do have one other burning question that rewinding a little bit from our conversation earlier, and that is, what makes you Australia's #1 keynote speaker? And you've been here for 2 years. How did you do that, and why you?
Well, I guess my official qualification is that I'm Australia's only certified tea specialist by the Specialty Tea Institute, and one of their top 50 recommended speakers of tea in the world. What makes me Australia's #1 keynote speaker?
Yes.
I guess it's really about getting the message across to people. There are a lot of tea businesses out there that want to create this hoity-toityness and mystique about tea.
Yeah, well, you are English, right?
Well, absolutely. And being from a working class background and my British upbringing, my parents didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. So I'm pretty, I am how you see me.
Yeah.
And tea does not need to be fussy. It really doesn't. It's just a case of putting a teaspoon of leaves in a cup, pouring hot water on it. That's all it needs. Maybe milk if you want to, and sugar. And so in the messages that I address with people, I really want to, as I say, I want to bring the teapot back. I want to make it really simple, and that's how I'm quite different to other keynote speakers out there. I don't think there's that many keynote speakers out there, not like me anyway.
Yeah.
But in trying to make it simple and address those questions, those burning questions that people want to ask. Why does green tea taste bitter? What are the health benefits behind tea? What caffeine levels are there in tea? Those kind of things. And so I'm really passionate in trying to get that message across so that people can appreciate and get a better cup of tea in their lives. That's what I want to do. So I think that's why I'm #1 keynote speaker.
Excellent, very good. Well, I must say, Mei King, you've converted me to think I think we need to meet up to have a cup of tea.
Sure.
I did mention I don't drink tea, so I think we definitely need to do that, because you've now had me start to think, okay, so what is so great about tea? Maybe I've been missing something here. So you've certainly converted me there. And also to, I can text, so I can post and tweet. And I'm pretty good at having a chat to people, so it's really just chatting with people in a different medium. Very good, that really made a difference to how I perceive social media, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I'm quite sure our audience has appreciated it as well. So everyone, Mei King Tsang, #1 in Australia keynote speaker. Anyone out there who's looking to start a tea business, Mei King is your lady. And of course, Queensland Business. So Queensland Business Group on Facebook, a community that really is out to empower each other. So you do need the recommendation for that though, don't you?
Yes.
Yes. So contact me if you like, Rebecca Doyle, and I'll recommend you. I'm a member of Mei King's clan over here. Excellent. And all the best with your visa. I certainly think that you're a valued possession here in Queensland, so let's keep you here, I think. Fingers crossed. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks again.